This is my talk, this is my talk. I want to welcome you to my talk. Hello, my name is Jon Burgerman. I am a British artist living in America. Yay, this is me as an American. There's lots of good things about living in America, and there are some questionable things about living in America. This is my studio in Greenpoint, Brooklyn. This is my standing desk, which is a normal desk I like to stand at. I do lots of different things with my artwork. Some of it is commercial, like licensing and slapping my art on some products, or turning them into toys, or drawing directly onto things, or onto walls, or ice cream parlors, or noodle shops, or on walls, on large canvases, or medium-sized canvases. These are some things from my exhibitions. This is an exhibition I had in Korea at the beginning of the year. What a year it's been. And we created a little installation, a little town within the gallery, which was super fun. This is an exhibition I had in Seoul last summer, that went for 3 months. It was the biggest exhibition I ever had. It's called Fun Factory. And I got to use lots of different materials for the artworks, like neon, and had a video installation room. So I got to play around with animation, gave me a good excuse to explore that. For a lot of fun. Wish I could do more of it. These are some new paintings that I've been doing. So for the last year or so I've been experimenting with spray paint. I really like using materials I have no idea how to use. So spray paint is something I have used a little bit before, but never in my studio practice. I like the fact that I don't have much control over it. It's quite difficult to be accurate with it, and everything comes out a little soft and fuzzy. So that is something that I enjoy, and I think it gives my work a different kind of vibe, a different kind of emotional range within the characters. Instead of everything having solid black lines and flat colours, now things are much less defined, very diffused, maybe a little bit more emotional. Maybe that reflects my emotional state whilst I've been making it. Here are some other animated things that I've done around. This was last year, I think, or the beginning of this year in Tokyo. This is in New York last year, big installation. So I was really starting to get into sort of doing these large-scale video pieces. And this piece in Times Square that came out at the beginning of the year I brought in my sort of fuzzy painting aesthetic and put it into animation. I was starting to mix up these sort of different disciplines, and that's one of the benefits I find of using materials that you're not so familiar with and discovering things that you like and then putting them into some other context, like, you know, animation. I've always enjoyed sort of doing stuff out and about. Here's an example. I saw this Jeff Koons retrospective. He made this big Play-Doh sculpture. It took him 20 years to develop. It's made out of aluminium. I thought I could do that in maybe 20 seconds, albeit on a much smaller scale and smaller budget. So I made these little Play-Doh sculptures of his giant Play-Doh sculpture. I put them in boxes, and I thought I would sell them outside the Whitney, outside his retrospective. This was a fun little experiment, and it was really great, sort of interacting, engaging with people that had seen the exhibition and were asking me what the hell I was doing, why would you do this? And yeah, it threw up a lot of interesting things. It also meant that I was left with a lot of Play-Doh, and I don't normally sculpt or anything, so I started to create these little Play-Doh characters, because that's what I tend to do when I have a new material to play with. I try and make characters out of it. So I made all these little Play-Doh characters, and I didn't really know what to do with them. And then during lockdown, at the beginning of the pandemic, when it hit New York, I would go for a walk every once in a while, and the streets were very, very empty, which is unusual to see in Brooklyn. There's normally people everywhere. So I started taking some photos, and I thought, oh, I can finally have somewhere to put these characters, and I sort of deposited them into the photograph. This is something I like to do a lot, is take my work and put it into the real world. So I've done this quite a lot on like Instagram. So I'm often walking around, I'll see something, I'll take a video or a photograph, and then I'll do a little doodle on the top of it and put a character in there. I draw this hot dog guy quite a lot because he's very easy to draw. It's just a little swipe of the finger. And this is kind of work that I'm doing in between my other work. I do a lot of this on the subway as well. So I like to face swap, put my face on someone else's face who unfortunately has chosen to sit opposite me. I don't really know why I do this, I guess it's kind of funny. But I always need to be making stuff. So even when I'm on the street or on the subway, walking around, I feel the need to just be doing something. And it's been a lot more difficult to do that when you're just stuck at home. I tried to do the face swap thing with just images I found online or were sent to me in like spam emails and things, which is kind of fun, but it didn't quite have the same excitement. And I think that's the key, is that I'm doing something I'm not meant to really be doing, and that's exciting, or it's new to me, and that's exciting, and then I want to do more of it. I tried to make some funny videos on my walks. This is a coffee cup face mask. If you can't access a face mask, maybe you can make one out of a coffee cup. And if you want to keep people away from you, maybe you need a nice 6-foot social distancing stick. You can hit people with it. So I made some little funny videos, but again, they didn't quite satisfy my creative urge. I got into exercising at home. Japan, just cycling along, having a good time. Trying to satisfy the need to travel by pretending I was in Japan. Every morning now. Out of my way, guys. Out of my way. All these things kind of were okay, it didn't quite strike a chord with me, and it wasn't until I discovered we had like a box of watercolours at home that I'd never ever used before. So I found all these little scraps of paper, leftovers, and I started to just make some little blobs on them. And this was exciting because it's something I hadn't really done before and it felt new. So I just made these little blobs, and it was very meditative, very relaxing. It was a material that I was unfamiliar with, so I didn't really know what I was doing. I didn't quite know how it works. I like the fact that the colours bleed, that it's not too accurate. There's an element of chance. I love making colourful puddles. That's how I would describe this work, colourful puddles. And I just started making blobs, and as is my way, turning them into little characters, blob after blob after blob. So here are some of those paintings, and it's just a joy to make shapes with colours. No lines really, other than putting in the faces. So I did that a lot, and I put them online. I started to sell them, and that was really fun. And as you can see, the more I made, the more I started to go back to revert to type. I started to try and make them into characters. I started putting more defined features on them, making them more figurative. And that's totally okay. But along the way, it started to get more complex, and it was like I was aiming to do something, whereas the original joy was not knowing what the hell I was doing. You can see they get more complex. I add more things into the composition. I start to draw familiar things like pizzas and little characters, and start drawing with crayon and painting over that. All good and everything, but I start going back to what I normally would do. And I think in a way that was less pleasurable for me. I don't want to go back. And things start to get more and more busy, more and more complex. And then it went too far. And then so I had to bring it all the way back to this, which was a really popular painting that I made, that a lot of people asked me, can I have an egg? 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 All right, I'll paint you an egg. So I ended up painting a lot of these eggs. Now, painting the little yellow circles did feel kind of zen, but then it just became like work. And that was less enjoyable. And I somewhat regretted agreeing to paint everyone an egg that wanted one. So I painted a lot of eggs, but I did earn some money. And because I'd lost so much work from cancelled projects, I thought I maybe should paint some more stuff that I can sell. What else is simple and easy and funny? So I started to paint some bananas, and they were really popular as well, which is great. So I painted a lot of bananas. Here are some of those bananas, whoops. There you go, lots of bananas, but same kind of problem. Then I ended up spending you know, a few hours painting bananas, but then a few days packing them, sellotaping them together, doing all the postage, weighing them, emailing people, it's on the way and all that kind of stuff. And that became much more of a chore. So that's my talk. The lessons that I learned was that monetizing what you love risks compromising. It's fun doing stuff and not really know what you're doing, and then turning it into some sort of work or some sort of commercial entity kind of reduces that pleasure in a way. Mental well-being is just as valuable as cash, although it doesn't pay for pizza. Really helped me just doing something that was fun, and for me that helped me mentally during the lockdown. And again, that was somewhat diminished when it became sort of a production line. It's my own fault, and it's a good problem to have, but nevertheless it taught me sometimes it's good just to keep something for yourself. Painting bananas isn't always funny, but it is kind of fun. Thank you very much.